The Raptors do exactly what they're supposed to do. Not only against the Houston Rockets, but against the Houston Rockets team without Jalen Green and without Kevin Porter Jr. They're two best players. They're only two relevant players. Well, Şengün's okay, but, though they're two main guys not playing. And if you lose this game, God forbid, you know what I mean? Masai should be on these phones trading everybody at that point. The Raptors only do win by 6. 117-111. So it wasn't like it was a cakewalk. And with the W, the Raptors win, are now 24-30 on the year. Doesn't change the direction for me. And I'll make these game notes quick so we can quickly talk trade deadline because that's coming up quick. First quarter, Raptors come out awful. 9-0 run for them to start. 14-3 at one point. Like, they're down double digits, like, in the first 5-6 minutes of this basketball game. This is ugly. But they play a really good second half of the first quarter. They find a way to only be down by 1 at the end of the first quarter. Good stuff. We go to the second quarter. Raptors play a lot better offensively. They drop 35 in the quarter. Gary Trent, did he go perfect in the second quarter, or was something really close to it if he didn't? Scored 35, only allowed 27, was plus 8 in the quarter for the Raptors. They're up by 7 at halftime. All right, a lot better. What are you going to do in the third quarter where they come out and they do exactly what they did in the second? They dropped 30. They only allowed 24. You're up 11 going into the fourth quarter. You haven't allowed more than 27 points in the game. You've scored 65 in the final in the last 2 quarters. You're feeling good now. Now let's keep that lead to double digits, build it up, and then get the starters out, rest them, and call it a day. That didn't happen. The Raptors on 39 in the fourth quarter. 39. They scored 32, but they're minus 7 in the quarter, and they kept hanging around enough that the Raptors had to continue to play their main guys, and it's so frustrating to watch against a Houston Rockets team without their 2 best players, and you still, here we go, I'm going to bring up the minutes. They still had to play Gary Trent 38 minutes, Scotty 37, Fred 37, Pascal 36, and you only won by 6. It's painful. It really is. When you want to see these guys grow and you see these great moves and these great plays and you're like, oh, it's beautiful. And then they counter it with just an abysmal play here and an abysmal play there, right? But you do win the game by 6. Whoopie-doo. Let's get to these player stats. Gary was phenomenal, as he's been quite a while, honestly. Since Nick Nurse kind of called him out defensively and put him on the bench, and he's come into that role, obviously being a starter again, Gary's been outstanding. He's averaging a career high in points per game, and he adds to that tonight, dropping 29, 1, and 2. On 10 of 15 shooting, 4 of 4 from the line, 5 of 9 from 3. Remarkable stuff. That's why when I hear these trade talks about Gary, I'm like, why? He ain't old. He's like, what, 23, 24? He's probably 24 now. He gives you something your team doesn't have. Perimeter shooting. So why trade more of what you don't have? It's crazy. So obviously those talks have died down quite a while since those thoughts about, possibly a contract extension. We heard those possible news. And since then, we haven't heard anything about Gary. It's been all OG. Scotty, I thought in the early goings, the shots weren't falling for him. Did have at one point, I think it was late in the third or was it the early parts of the fourth where he drilled 2 threes and you're like, oh, okay. Ended up hitting 3 in the game, but only had 13 points in the game, 6 boards, 4 assists, was 4 of 11 from the field. So again, the shot wasn't falling, but he started 1 of 5, so you guys can do the math the rest of the way. 2 of 2 from the line, 3 of 7 from distance, and he had 1 block in the game, and that was nasty on Jabari Smith. He going up for the dunk, and Scotty meeting him and swatting it against the backboard. Brilliant block for Scotty. Fred VanVleet, remarkable. Him and Gary, the only reason, well, I wouldn't say the only reason, but the main reasons this Raptor team won today was Fred and Gary. Yeah, Pascal had a decent night, 23, 6, and 4, but Fred VanVleet, coming off a triple-double in his last game, even though you lost, has 32, 5, and 4 today on 10 of 22 shooting, 7 of 9 from the free throw line, 5 of 11 from distance. He has been lights out recently. And as much as this team is in transition mode, you got to love what you're seeing from Fred. So kudos to him, playing his rear end off and looking good doing it. Pascal, 23, 6-4, as I said. Again, didn't really seem engaged, though, at times. But again, 23, 6-4. 10 of 20 from the field, 50%, right? 2 of 3 from the line, was 1 of 3 from 3. Had 2 steals in the game and stayed in the entire game. So I thought he was okay. Again, I thought Fred and Gary led the charge, but when Pascal needed the plays, he was making his shots. And that's great. Also, snub city. I can't believe that Pascal's not going to the All-Star game, and a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr. is, but whatever. I mean, does that mean no Raptors going now? I just think it's pitiful. I think it's absurd. A guy who's going to be an All-NBA player, who was an All-NBA player last season, is now not even going to be an All-Star. I think it's wild. And Jaren Jackson's, what is he? He's not even averaging like 18 a game. He's like averaging, 16 or something like that? Nothing good. I mean, good player, but really? I don't know about that. And the only bench guy that had any run today, or that any useful run, was Chris Boucher. I think he had lots of energy. 11 points, 8 boards. Love the energy he played with all game long. Really good. And Malachi Flynn and Christian Koloko, I combined their stats here because it was just like, oh, what the hell am I watching? They combined for 31 minutes. They didn't have a single point. They had 9 boards. 7 of those were Christian Koloko. 4 assists. Took 3 shots, missed all 3. Didn't get to the free throw line. Took 2 threes, all Malachi. I think all the shots were Malachi. Didn't make them. 4 blocks in the game. 2 steals. But was it plus 19? So it's like, yeah, what? But it's just the impact. The lack of impact on the offensive end, right? No points in 31 minutes combined for these guys and not making a shot. 0 of 3 from the field. 0 of 2 from 3. It's just like, man, you are getting nothing. Against a team like Houston, without their 2 main scorers, you can't even play your bench unit because you're hanging onto a 6-point lead to win. It's just rough. It really is. Team stats. 46% from the field for the Toronto Raptors. We shot 38% from 3, 74% from the free throw line. They shot, again, I'll say it again, a team without their main players. They still shot 50% from the field, 33% from distance, 73% from the line. They averaged just under 110 a game. They scored 111 today. Not a big difference there, but again, without their main scorers, they still got above their season average in points. So that's tough to watch. Now, let's get into the trade stuff real quick. All the talk has been OG, and rightfully so. And I've been seeing online and whatnot, people being, oh, why are you trying to trade OG? Well, you know what? You got to realize what's going to get you the most back. What's the reason for trading Gary? Well, he's an expiring contract. That's it. It's really the only reason. He's a shooter. You don't have that. You need those. You got one right now. You got a good one in Gary. And he's young, too. He's younger than OG. Okay, well, what about Fred? Well, especially when he's been putting up recently. And maybe that player option is kind of looming for teams. What do you get for Fred on an expiring contract? And his health issues at times have been a little shaky. What are you going to get? For OG, he's got, another year on his contract. He's, 25. He's an incredible wing defender. We clearly see all these teams really wanting him. We're hearing that what was it? The Grizzlies and the Pelicans, like Memphis does not want New Orleans to get OG, and it's going to get a bidding war. So what do you get the most back? And we've seen these 3 wins on the road trip. I believe all 3 have been without OG. In Sacramento, without OG? I could be wrong with that, guys. But either way, you won in Sacramento. You beat Portland, I believe, without OG. This team clearly has shown they're not downright abysmal without OG Anunoby. And I don't know what would come back, whether it's just picks, whether it's young guys in picks. That's what we keep hearing. If that's the case, you had assets. Not just draft picks, players. Maybe to add to that bench. Lengthen it out a little bit. And if you're going to be down in the basement like this, you'll get another good draft pick. And who knows what happens there? You might get a couple first-round picks from of OG as well. You add that to the pile. Good things could happen from that deal. He's the biggest value player the Raptors have that clearly he's already said that he wants to go. Yeah, he's never said it to the camera, never said it to the media, and he never will. But all the reports are suggesting he's asking for a trade out of here like Kyrie, who's a joke. So if that's the case, why would you want him around? Look, I love OG as a player. Don't get me wrong. The defense is great. You love the three-point shooting when he's on. But when dudes try to create his offense, you want to pull your hair out half the time. And he wants a bigger role, and I'm like, why? Like, OG, I'm sorry. You're a great 3-and-D guy, but that's about it for me. So if teams are going to go above and beyond to get OG Anunoby, you take it and run. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to talk too much trade, but I wanted to get my little 2 cents worth in there. And with the trade deadline not very far away, will we have answers? Or will Masai be patient like he was with the Kyle Lowry situation and get to the offseason, do a sign and trade? We'll see. But the next game for the Toronto Raptors, speaking of Jaren Jackson Jr., speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, that's the team you play next. In Memphis, 6 p.m. on Sunday. That team's great. They're not going to have Dylan Brooks, so he can't yap everybody because he had in a fight with Donovan Mitchell. And so that's going to happen on Sunday. Raptors, if they win that game, they somehow have a winning road trip, but it's 4-3. It's like, good statement win against Memphis. Whoopee, you're still 5 games under 500 over halfway through the season. You know what I mean? The direction should be simple. No matter what happens. They got to retool. They got to get assets back. That's my take. All right. So you know what, guys? That's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and, I don't know, parts of the game today, because it still wasn't pretty, but you won. So smack that like button. Do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. You guys not already, comment down below your thoughts on the video, thoughts on the game, what you like, what you not like from today's game for the Toronto Raptors. The Twitter and Instagram links are down in the description, so follow up, send me a DM to that great stuff. The Discord link is down below as well, so follow up there if you guys have not done so already. And I will talk to you guys Leafs edition not till, what, Friday? No, next Friday? Yeah, a week today. As we're in Columbus Day on the Blue Jackets there to kick off the informal second half of the season. And as for the Raptors, they're back in action like we talked about on Sunday evening as they're in Memphis taking on the Grizzlies at 6 p.m. All right, so thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and the game today. We'll talk to you guys then.